Well, hey there, gang. It's Jim
And Christy.
Jacobus with Your Marriage Matters podcast number 143. And you might notice that we have a little bit different studio working today.
And different apparel.
Oh yes, we have uniforms on. We are at Brazos Bend State Park, where we have taken on the job, a volunteer position of park host. And first thing is apologies. That's kind of why we haven't been able to do a podcast for the last couple of weeks. So we're sorry about that. But it's been crazy.
It has. It's been such a wonderful opportunity to be exposed to different things about what we consider to be our home park.
Yeah.
We've learned a lot about this park, about volunteering in general. And anytime I think you volunteer, you get a sense of being a part of a community of people who are like-minded. And so it's been just an amazing
we've been learning
transition.
some really cool stuff.
Yeah. And it's a transition. It's a transition and something we hadn't planned on doing.
Right.
It is something we talked about being on our bucket list to be a park host somewhere.
Right.
We didn't know what we were getting into when we decided to do it, but it's been a wonderful adventure.
Yeah, it's been really cool. And so this month we've been talking about shared vision and bucket list items. You can find that actually, babe, it's the very first chapter in the book. That's how important we think this stuff is. And what we would tell you that we wanted to kind of just share with you today is that we have bucket list items, we have things we're going to do, we have plans. This has been a very fluid decision that we made. I would say probably just 2 months ago, maybe 3 months ago. This wasn't even part of our plan.
Right.
We had some of the things we were going to be doing. We had a rhythm that we had already set up. But thanks to Pam and Bob Nothnagel, who were actually park hosts here before us in this very site. By the way, if you're in the Houston area, come out and see us. We're at Brazos Bend State Park, site 202. And that's where our park host site is.
And we'll be here till September the 5th.
Yeah, we're going to be here until the Wednesday after Labor Day. So 5 months.
Right.
If you're in the area, we'll talk a little bit about kind of how we got to this decision here in just a minute. But if you're in the area, come on out and see us. We'd love to kind of hang out with you. It's part of why we chose to do this. So, babe, we use a process that we talked about. It's a process that we use to write the book and everything called IDEA, IDEA. And it's inspiration, discussion, education, and then action. We were inspired to do this by Bob and Pam. We were inspired to do this by the fact that this is our home park. We were aware of park hosting, camp hosting, and we've talked about, which I think is on our bucket list item, doing that in a national park like Yellowstone or Glacier or Yosemite. So we've been talking about it, but we got inspired and then discussion. What do you remember about our conversations around park hosting?
Well, I think one of the challenges can be is when you're discussing things, you want to have as many facts as you have so you can analyze, the inspiration.
Right.
Is it a workable opportunity? Is it something that makes sense for us? We had the plan of 4 months in South Texas, 4 months in North Texas, and 4 months traveling. And where did this exactly fit into that? So when we had the discussion, it starts off on kind of a higher level.
Yeah. That's
Discussion, and then we had to go down into the nitty-gritty. How are we going to make this work?
Yeah.
What are all the steps that we needed to consider in our discussions? Because, like I said, while we do have the luxury of being in an opportunity where we can move around a great deal, we still have to kind of have a plan for moving around.
Right.
So the discussion was one where we explored, does this make sense? Is this something we both felt like we could do?
Yeah, and that discussion meant we had to change that rhythm that we talked about. We had to make a decision. We would probably have gone up to Dallas-Fort Worth and hung out up there, which was what we did last summer. And then we were planning to head out to New Mexico, winding up at the Albuquerque Balloon Fiesta in October. The point is that we had a plan, but then this opportunity came along and we discussed it. And what would that look like? In order to be able to do this for 5 months, we had to take away from some of those other things that we'd already planned. We had to change those other bucket list items.
Right. And I think sometimes in our plans, we can be pretty rigid and know this is our plan. And sometimes that is, I mean, it's required. You have to be, pretty stuck in your plans. But in this case, we needed to discuss, is this something that made sense? Can we adjust? One of the things I think we both share is the ability to be flexible and kind of go with the flow. But sometimes that wouldn't have been possible, or wouldn't have been, because there are, arrangements that need to be made. And one thing that I think we're both pretty good at is kind of seeing the positive in the situation.
Right.
So, like you said, not going to Dallas has some sadness to it because we didn't get to spend as much time around the kids and everything. But this was a great opportunity.
Yeah, and again, I think, babe, that's one of the things we see in couples sometimes is one of them is very flexible, very free spirited and everything. The other is very rigid and structured and everything. There are pluses and minuses to both of those. And what we would tell the free spirits is, okay, create a plan, right? For those of you that are structured, we'd say your life is going to be more enjoyable if you can be flexible from time to time, or else you're going to miss some opportunities. So we had inspiration. We discussed it. We thought, okay, we can do this. Then we decided to get educated about park hosting and what all was required. So maybe we should share some of our duties while we're out here.
Right.
This is not. Oh yes,
can I
those.
Share
those are
one of the good things is we get to go buy rain boots. No, we did not know what to expect. So when it comes to education, there's the things that you do that you think will prepare you for the next step and everything. And there's only so much you can do on the front side until you get really into the event and you get immersed in the situation that you really figure out where the learning occurs.
Yeah.
So
we were planning on coming here, and we know a little bit about it from talking to Bob and Pam and them giving us their experiences. But then I emailed our coordinator, Danny Thatch, an email and said, hey, can you give me an idea of what to expect our first week or so, just so we can kind of schedule things? And Danny sent back an email, said, okay, you're going to get here on Monday, take your time, get all squared away. Tuesday, we're going to do a little bit of orientation. You guys are hosts on duty Wednesday and Thursday, which host on duty is one of the primary responsibilities that we have, along with our two basic loops out here. There's a 100 loop, 200 loop. We're the park host in the 200 loop, and our job is to kind of make sure the loop is clean and neat. We go around on a daily basis and clean up the fire rings and the grills, and we like to blow off. Christy likes to blow the leaves off of each of the sites so they're nice and clean when people show up, and kind of be a presence in the loop, be available if anybody needs any help.
Right. And I think one of the things, in kind of a quick summary of it, is we're the host. We're like hosting a big party of our camping friends, many of which we've never met, never see again. But it's just kind of an opportunity to represent something that we really love.
Yeah.
If you can see behind us and hear behind us, it is beautiful. It's nature. Peaceful. You can get out and you can just explore. And while we thought we knew the park, it's like anything else. When you get involved with it, then you see there's so much more to learn.
Right.
And it kind of reminds me of something I always want to tell people about a bucket list. A bucket list doesn't have to be something real far into the future that's just, these major things. Sometimes a bucket list is like this, exploring all the trails here in the park.
Yeah.
Sometimes a bucket list, or the best thing about your present situation, is just being appreciative and grateful for what you have currently going on. And like I said, you can see behind us and hear, hopefully, just some of the beauty that we're surrounded by.
Right. And I think, babe, that's one of the lessons here about bucket lists and flexibility, and kind of what we're talking about today is all of this started here. It started here, and it started with us living 20 miles from here, maybe a 30-minute drive, and not having coming out here for years and years and years. But then one day we said, well, let's go out to the park and check it out. And 20 minutes from our house, 30 minutes from our house is this incredible place. And what we found out now is, I guarantee you, wherever you live, whatever you're doing, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, maybe an hour from your house is someplace that you've never explored that is amazing, because this country's full of them. I don't care where we've stopped.
Right.
Everywhere we've been, there's something amazing, and this is certainly one of them.
Right. And we're 30 minutes from the city of Houston, and there are things after 30 plus years of living here that I haven't seen, that we haven't taken.
We still have some items on our bucket list to check out in Houston where we lived for 35 years.
So one of the things we'll encourage you to do is, like I said, when that idea comes up, it doesn't have to be like moving into an RV. It doesn't have to be something so extreme. Maybe it's something like check off the top 10 restaurants in your hometown.
There you go.
Maybe it's something, more in line with what your goals and what your shared vision are.
Yeah. I hope one of the messages we consistently send to you guys is, look, this is what we chose. We've seen a lot of people lately go, you guys look great. Well, it's because we feel great. Life is really good. But there's your version of this. I mean, living in an RV full time is not for everybody, but it suits us incredibly well. And we believe there's a version of this for you. There's a version of life for you that goes beyond the 9 to 5, home to work, work to home to work, work to home, and all of those kinds of things that we get caught up in. And again, we were the same as everybody else. But yeah, we found out there's more. And we believe there was more, and that's kind of how we got here. So, IDEA, A is action. You've got to take action. Babe, I thought that was such a great idea. If the action is 5 restaurants in Houston we've never been to, and you want to go hit those, you want to go to, Perry's or Tony's or, what's the name of the restaurant on top of the Hyatt downtown that we've eaten at a couple of times where it turns?
Don't remember.
I don't remember, but I mean, there's a great restaurant there. There are hole-in-the-wall restaurants in Houston that have been amazing to go to. So maybe that's where you start. Maybe it is we want to buy bikes and go right in the park, or whatever it happens to be. Do your version of that. Use IDEA. Again, if you haven't bought the book, we're not going to get rich on the book. Trust me, we know that. But the book's the first chapter is about shared vision. The second chapter is about communication, and there's just great conversation here to lead you to get started on something like that. We want you to take advantage of that. I'll put a link in the show notes where you can go grab the book and everything. It's at yourmarriagematters.com/52 combos. And again, gang, we have had some conversations lately about how this has changed our life and how we feel like more compelled to share with people that they've got to do their version of this. That there's something out there for you guys that's more than what you have. And by the way, I can't see it on camera, but one of these worms right here stung me on the neck. That's why I've been scratching my neck just a few minutes ago. And one of them just dropped down out of the sky onto my leg right there. So
the worms are falling. So remember again, what's your inspiration? Find something that inspires you. It doesn't have to be major, but what's something that you would like to do that's inspiring? Have a discussion. Have some time to reflect and discuss. What does that mean to you? Get education. What all's involved with it? A lot of times, I've wanted to do things without a lot of forethought to it. So what do you need to do to make this as successful as possible? And then A is probably the most important step in all of it. Take action. A lot of people have dreams out there, have desires, and they never have it come to action because of one thing or another. So we're going to challenge you also to take action.
So for those of you out there that are the free spirits, this process will help you create a plan that your more structured spouse will probably be more likely to participate in. And for those of you who are so structured, use this process to dream and be a little bit more flexible, and you're going to find out your marriage is going to do better. So at the end of the day, I mean, this is all about your marriage. And we believe, babe, that your marriage matters. Everybody out there, you impact people. It matters in your own life. There's all kinds of ways out there. We want you to have everything that you want and more that you dreamed of when you said I do. And that's what this podcast is dedicated to. And babe, we were sitting out on this porch the other night, and we've come from a place where, again, we were in Aransas Pass, and we're going 90 miles an hour, just, playing pickleball and doing all kinds of great stuff, seeing your mom and dad. But we're sitting out on the porch the other night, and it was so peaceful. And I told you, I said, this is so good for our soul. And I'm so thankful that you are one that I can process through, I deal with, and that we can wind up in places like this. And we'll be doing some more updates from the park. And matter of fact, if you want to go to joyhauling.com, we'll do more about park hosting over there if you just want to learn more about the camping side. So, babe, I love you, I adore you, and thanks so much for being my partner.
I love you too.